Live.
Hey, what's up, family? It's your girl, Melissa D. We're back for another awesome, wonderful, blessed, magnificent Saturday. It's December, y'all. Yeah! Hey! It's out with 2017, and if you hadn't started planning for 2018, you late. Y'all better be on it, right?
It's here.
It's here already.
It's here.
And I am so excited, y'all. I hope you had a wonderful week. I hope you had a blessed week, that you are productive and that you are out there living and getting activated in whatever it is you're doing. And I'm elated. I am so excited and pumped up because, y'all, guess what? I got somebody with me in the studio today. My friend, my homie, I am so excited. So there was so much great response from the show that we did with my friend to my right, Mr. Justin Kernan, when we talked about beyond the election, beyond the vote. And, you know, with this being such a high political climate right now, and I'm like, look, I'm no expert, you know, I know a little bit, but he know a whole lot of it. So I want to welcome to the Activation Hour our new political correspondent, yes, Mr. Justin Kernan. Give it up, you. Woo!
Thank you very much.
Look, when I saw him walking in, I had to give him an activation mug. Hold up your mug so the people can see it. You can order those online, melissadwhite.info. Yes, that's a plug, a shameless plug. I was like, it's official. You get a mug. And he was like, I get a mug.
The water tastes better out of the mug.
The water tastes so much better out of the mug because that's ought to be in the water or tea or something like that. But I want to welcome you, brother, to the show. Thank you for coming back.
No, I appreciate the opportunity. I enjoyed myself last time, and you know, I'm grateful that we have the opportunity to work together and to do this on a more consistent basis.
You know what's so cool about it? What has me so excited about it? It's like I know you like as a person, so, and I know how much like personality you have, and you make politics and government fun. Really, for real, because you better than C-SPAN, homie. I'm just telling you. C-SPAN is like watching paint dry, Jesus. You know. So we want to make sure Justin's going to come in every now and then to share with us his segment, which is going to be called Activating Advocacy. He said something that struck so deep in me last time he was here, and if you didn't catch it, y'all better go back to melissadwhite.info and catch the replay. But when Justin and Michael Glanton was here, shout out Mike Glanton, he said, you know, just voting is like being a C student. I was like, oh shoot, some of us around here being C students, just basic citizens. And so then I was like, you know what? He said, in order to have an A, you have to be an advocate. And it's not as hard as you think. And I started doing research and really talking to Justin. I said, you know what? We need to really equip people on how to just do this. I mean, it's as simple as, instead of watching what's going on TV, maybe just showing up at the Capitol and really just kind of engaging in what's going on just one afternoon. And it's good, really cool. And so I said I'm going to make good on what we talked about. City council meetups, we're in the planning phases. Right? We talked about it yesterday, like, hey, let's get this calendar going. We are going to bring you the information that you've asked for. So I'm going to just kind of, let's get into it. We're just going to have a quick segment, touch on what's happened since the last time you were here in politics, and just share some more tips on how we can educate ourselves on activating advocacy.
Well, thank you. And before we even get into the advocacy part, voting is still the. Yes. I know. I say that that's all you're doing. It's the most basic.
But you
thing.
still do it though.
But
like,
you have
don't
to do it, and you have to do that before you move into the advocacy space.
Yes.
So
that's the least you can do.
It is.
Vote.
It is. So let's talk about voting. Okay. And let's talk about the fact that, and I know that you have listeners from all over the country, all over the world. But I was always taught that you take care of home first. Amen. So we're gonna talk about what's going on here in Atlanta. Yeah. And so December 5th, which is on Tuesday, is runoff election. I know a lot of you went out to the polls, you know, a few weeks ago, and you voted. Well, I need you to check to see if you have to go back for a runoff, which is on December 5th. So if you live in the city of Atlanta, within the city limits. So a lot of people think they live in Atlanta. A lot of people claim Atlanta. You don't live in Atlanta.
You ain't in Atlanta if you in Latonia, y'all.
If the mayor, if Mayor Kasim Reed is your current mayor, then you in Atlanta. But we're going to talk about that because December 5th you have to go back out to the polls, and also if you live in Fulton County, and there's several other places where you have to go back out to the polls because Here's how that works: is on the last election day, if the candidate on the ballot did not receive more than 50% of the vote, there's a runoff.
Okay.
Georgia state law requires that in these municipal elections that you have to get over 50% of the vote in order to secure that seat. So if you fail to get over the 50%, it goes to a runoff. That runoff is going to be Tuesday. The last day for early voting was Friday, so there's no voting today, but you can vote on Tuesday.
Got it.
The polls are going to be open from 7 a.m. I think it's 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. So make sure that you get out there and vote and participate in this process because the city of Atlanta does not know who the new mayor is going to be yet. There were two candidates.
Oh, it's heated too.
It's
It's better than a football game. Well, okay, sorry.
There's a couple.
I'm sorry to you football fans, but I'm just not that girl.
Those good ones that are going to be up there today, and that's a surprise seeing that you're from Alabama, but that's okay. You can be a University of Georgia fan today. Anyway,
whatever. Roll Tide. Go ahead.
They're not playing. It's playing Auburn. But anyway, so the thing about it is December 5th. It's your chance to go vote for the mayor, and there's two candidates that are vying for the helm of the city of Atlanta, and you have Keisha Lance Bottoms, and then you have Mary Norwood. Both of those are current city council members, and they're sitting on the city council currently, and they were the top two vote getters from the last election. So those are the ones that you have to pick from for this runoff election. Now, we're not going to dive too much into it because I want to encourage everyone to do research on your own to see which candidate that you're
going to support. Where can they go?
Like,
where do you get your information to research?
I do something that many people don't do anymore.
What?
It's called reading the newspaper.
What? They still have those?
It's so mind-blowing. I don't actually get the ink on my fingers and all that stuff and stretch out the paper like my father used to do and just like lick your finger and turn the page and all that stuff.
Some for real newspaper
AJC.com, and I have a subscription. Okay. And so, because some of the articles on the AJC, you can't read unless you have a subscription.
Yeah.
Pay for that subscription, y'all.
Yeah.
The monthly subscription, or to whatever newspaper. I'm not saying
locally,
AJC,
whatever
your local newspaper is, it's worth paying for the subscription. Forego eating out to lunch one day, and that pays for your subscription for your newspaper. It's definitely worth it because a lot of that information is not going to be on that front page. It's hidden in the actual
And it's
paper.
not just going to be on the news. You can't take in all of your information just on the 5 o'clock news.
Absolutely. And a lot of that stuff has gotten so sensationalized, and it's just whatever.
Yes, Lord.
It's exciting at the moment. That's what they're going to go with. So you have to do that. But not only going and reading the newspaper, there's also, you can go to each candidate's websites to see the information that they're putting out about themselves at all. And then you can find different other media sources. Watching the No News is a good, thing because it just gives you a part. You have to do multiple steps. And then you can go to different sites like Ballotpedia. Y'all got that? Ballotpedia, or votesmart.org, different organizations like that collect information about the different candidates in order to be like a one-stop shop for you to be able to come and find out information. Okay. Now, all of that information is not always available on those, so you have to read. You have to seek out the stuff. Like Google is... Google it. Google these people and see what comes up and actually read the different news articles. Don't base any of your opinions off of one news article.
That's good advice.
You have to read several because it's research, right? Just like when you have to do those dreaded research projects when you were in school or if you're looking up. We do a lot of research on products that we want to buy.
That's true.
We got to do the same thing.
We don't just get the first thing that we see.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we got to do the same thing for the candidates that are going to be, running our government. And so we can't shy away from that research. We have to actually do it and dig deep.
So let me ask you, what's some things maybe on the national level? Like we're hearing a lot about maybe some things going on in Senate, Congress, and then even like some other states, from a higher level perspective, what's going on now on the national level?
I think the biggest issue on the national level right now is the tax bill. That's going through. It's in the Senate right now. The Senate's trying to strum up their votes for that. There, from last I read, they're close to having enough votes to pass this tax bill. It's an overhaul of the current tax code, which, from my research, is meant to establish permanent some permanent taxation relief for corporations. There's rhetoric.
What about us? I need some taxation relief.
We're going to get to that point. No. So this is one of the issues. So one of the things is the corporate. There's rhetoric that's stating that the United States has the largest corporate tax rate in the world. I don't know how true that is. I have not finished doing the research on that, but they were saying that the corporate tax rate is about 35%.
Oh, wow.
And so they want to bring that down. And that in the current tax bill, that relief is permanent, and there's supposed to be some other relief for middle class and the more poorer population. However, those that tax relief or those tax incentives are not permanent. Those are set to expire in 2025, and they had to do that because of the fact that they can only, because of the Senate rules, the United States Senate rules, you can only bind the Congress for up to $1.5 trillion. And so this tax bill is going to cost $1.4 trillion, which keeps it right under that shelf. And so that's why they had to set the expiration date.
I'm just trying to get to my first million. I'm just trying to get there.
They set that limit so that it's lower. There's a lot of controversy around there. A lot of people don't think that it's going to provide relief, and there's a lot of news articles that say that after 2025, a lot of people's taxes are going to go up. And then now with grad students, people that are pursuing their higher education within this bill, remove your tax credits from that so that you cannot claim that on your tax anymore. So you're going to be taxed on your tuition as well. So there's a lot of things going on.
Wait, did y'all catch that for y'all that are in school?
For those of y'all that are trying to get those master's degrees, PhDs, law degrees, and different things like that, this is definitely something to watch. And this is one of your opportunities to activate your advocacy because of the fact that you can call your United States Senator here in Georgia. Every state has 2 senators. That's something that's split evenly. Your 2 senators are currently in D.C. They're talking about this stuff, so you have the opportunity to call either Senator David Perdue or Senator Johnny Isakson's office and let them know how you feel about this.
Yeah, I feel some type of way about this. I guess I got to do something about it. I got to activate my advocacy. You might want to do something. Especially now, I mean, because I just know like the little pieces I've heard about it. I'm not going to lie, I hadn't deeply researched it like that. But now that I understand how far reaching that goes and even the effects of it affects higher education. Higher education,
it affects homeowners, it affects a lot of different
what's the effect on homeowners?
I'm going to ask you, since that's your land.
I want you to tell the people.
And I'm gonna be 100% clear and honest. That
make it 100, make it plain.
It's so convoluted and it's a lot going on, and I don't know all of the aspects and how it automatically will affect homeowners.
We're going to do some research on that.
There is going to be some. So right now there are certain tax credits that homeowners get.
Okay.
This bill does not permanently establish those and could possibly repeal some of those credits.
Oh, repeal?
Yeah, that means take away.
Now I have to pay it back, do I?
You don't get the tax credit.
Oh,
so
my
it's not something. So it's money that you no longer get back.
Yeah.
And so
man, so y'all better be connected to this stuff. I mean, I get that.
You own a home?
Yes.
So you better do your research.
I am.
And you better call your senators and let them know how it's going to affect you.
Isaacson Purdue, I got it. Look, guys, if nothing else, our job here, especially in this segment, is to make sure on high level issues that the news isn't going to tell you what websites to go find this stuff.
Ballotpedia. Votesmart.org.
Votesmart.org.
Atlanta Journal-Constitution.
The AJC if you're local. I mean, any one of those. Or New York Times, any of those.
And here's another thing. If you're local, if you're here in Georgia, not only in Atlanta, there's a great resource called the Georgia 10x10. And the Georgia 10x10 gives you the top 10 political news articles every day before 10 a.m. And so
nice.
I read that every morning. It gives you a list of 10 articles, and it's a great way to start off. If you're trying to start to understand what's going on here in the state of Georgia, Georgia 10x10, you can just plug that into Google and it'll pull it up, and it gives you those articles, and it gets you a chance to really start understanding, start reading, start diving.
It just gives you something. It makes us so much more knowledgeable. I mean, we perish for lack of knowledge. Some of y'all, your pocket's about to perish if you don't understand what's going on because you're not going to be engaged.
And so speaking about that, I don't mean to cut you off, but it's so amazing because I had these conversations with a lot of people like, oh, Justin, I don't want to hear that. I'm not really that political. Well, you better be. Because you saying that I'm not political and I'm going to take this and people going to feel some kind of way, but that's all right. But saying that I'm not political is the same. People like, I ain't in a church. I'm more spiritual than religious. Man, you know what I'm saying? It's the same, so glad you said that. It's the same type of thing. And so people that are saying that I'm not political, where you have to start paying attention, because that means that you're giving someone unfettered access to your life and giving somebody the ability to make these decisions on your behalf without you having a say-so, without you having to hold anybody accountable. I don't want to give someone unfettered control over my life in those ways. So you have to say something. So everybody's political. I feel that when people say that I'm not political, it's because they don't understand the far-reaching aspects of politics or policies that impact their lives.
That's so true. It's for lack of understanding. Like, there's so many issues. I can go on and on. Like, this week, I think the hot topic I've been really researching is net neutrality.
That's important to do in the platform.
And especially, having an online business, our show streams through the internet, and all of these things. If you use the internet, you need, and that's a very political thing.
Absolutely.
It's absolutely a political thing. So to Justin's point, some of y'all around here, you're going to be really hurt and affected when these laws and these bills are passed, and you're like, what just happened? Right. Like, I don't get my, the tax, credits. I'm having issues with my student loans or getting higher education, and got to slow down my internet speed. Believe it or not, all of that stuff is tied to politics. So so what we're gonna do, I'm gonna take the high-level points that Justin has given us. I'll put them out on the website on melissadwhite.info, and you gotta subscribe to the email list, because we're gonna send out tips and things like that from Justin's segment of activating advocacy.
Y'all heard how Melissa just gave me some homework?
I know. I'll send an email. He just got to tell me what to say. It's teamwork. Teamwork ain't the dream work. Come on, homie. I'm just saying. So, thank you, Justin, for those points. You're awesome. Welcome to the show, man.
Thank you very much. And before I leave, I just want to also say that it's not only the mayor that's up on the runoff. Also, the head of the Fulton County Commission, the Fulton County chair, that's up. That's between former State Representative Keisha Waits and Rob Pitts.
Yes.
And then there are several House and Senate seats in the Metro Atlanta area that are also going. And outside of Metro Atlanta, there's a couple of Mayor East Point that's in the runoff as well. And so there are a lot of runoffs going on. So don't think it's just the city of Atlanta. It's also Fulton County. It's also several state House and state Senate seats. So pay attention.
So all of those are going to be on the ballot on Tuesday.
All of those will be on respective ballots on Tuesday. It just depends on your geographical area. So go to mvp.sos.ga.gov, which is the My Voter page, to the Georgia Secretary of State. So you can just look up Georgia Secretary of State My Voter page, and it pulls up a lot of that information, so you can know at least where your polling locations are.
Yes, that's important.
And all of that stuff. So go on that website, and then you can start to see if you have any runoffs in your area.
You're right. Don't be showing up at the wrong polling place. They're going to look at you like you're crazy, and then you're going to be mad because you went to the wrong spot.
And don't get an attitude with those those poll workers, because you're wrong. Like, you can't get mad at somebody because you.
And they do. I see they be madder than standing in the Walmart line, and that's mad. That's a whole different kind of mad.
That Walmart line to have you having to start to ask for repentance.
Yeah, no. The Walmart line to take you out of your religion. I'm just playing.
Religion for Walmart.
That's why I don't even go in there. Anyway, thank you, Justin, so much. Thank you for those tips and resources. And again, welcome to the show. Y'all stay connected. Go follow Justin on Instagram at
JWKIRNON, which is JW Kernan.
Yep. And also check out, like I said, subscribe to our email list at melissadwhite.info, and you'll stay connected with all of Justin's tips. And follow me on Instagram, and I'll make sure that I get that information out to you as well at Activation Hour. All right, Justin, thank you, man. We're going to take a quick break. It is your winning season, and we're going to come back in just a moment with our next guest, Leah Hernandez, who is an author and publisher of the book Try God. And we're going to get real, y'all, because I want to talk about getting real with God. Some of y'all playing with them, and we about to get real today. So we're going to take a quick break to this song by Jacqueline Carr. It's my winning season, y'all. Stay connected to the activation. I love it. He's so hype. I mean, who else you know in politics that know how to say, hey, he be all up in, he be Billy rocking in the Capitol. All right, we'll be right back, y'all.
against your home. The enemy came up against your children. The enemy came up against your name. The enemy came up against your character. You will win, win. You will win, win. The enemy came up against your health. The enemy came up against your finances. The enemy came up against your vision. The enemy came up against your business. You will win. Oh, you will win. Yes, you will.
I said everything attached
attached to you wins. Can you point to your neighbor and tell them, everything attached to you wins? Come on, let's tell them, everything attached to you wins. Now just tell them, say, it's your winning season. It's your winning season. If God got to carry you, if God got to carry you, that's what He's going to do tonight. Because you can't afford to lose again. You can't afford to lose again. Oh, it's your winning season. Last time, say,
what's up, family? It's your girl, Melissa D, Minister Mel. We're back on the second half of the Activation Hour radio show on 108 Praise Radio. And I am joined here with the amazing, lovely, and also sold out for God, Leah Hernandez. Welcome to the Activation Hour.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Look, we were determined to make sure we got Leah on this show, y'all, because her story is amazing. I'm so glad it just perfectly worked out to have her here today, because she has such a powerful testimony. And if you tuned in to the first half and I told y'all what we're going to talk about today, you better get ready, get out your notebook, take notes, because I'm telling you now, we're going to help you get it together and get real with God, y'all. Yes, we are. And I so love how Leah's story just weaves into, it's really her activation hour. And if you've tuned into the show before, the activation hour means that moment from your old life to your new life. Something happens. It could be any life-changing moment where you'll never be the same. Exactly. And so there was a moment. I'm not going to spill the beans yet. I'm going to let you tell your story your way. So let me tell you guys a little bit about Leah, okay? Leah is a junior business administration major at Clark Atlanta University, CAU, born and raised in Fontana, California. Leah is the CEO and founder of Purposeful Millennials Publishing Company. She's made this business to empower and develop a clientele of millennial authors, which is so powerful. In a society that believes that the millennial generation has gone through life aimlessly, and that's a lie, honey, because I'm here. I'm a mature millennial. I'm like at the top of the scale. I ain't gonna tell my age, but I'm at the top of that. Yeah. But we are out here and we are on fire for God, and millennials have such influence in the world, and especially in the church and in the kingdom, and they can't be ignored. I'm telling you now. And she's an example of that. Another thing about Leah, on May 5th of this year, actually, she published her book, and I was amazed to see, like, wow, it's only been a few short months, but this book is, like, really taken off. She's done some amazing things with the book since her publication date. She's traveled to 3 different states where she hosted book signings and speaking engagements, and y'all, your girl is big, because she also was, this year for Essence Festival, a featured author here in 2017. Major. So you got to go grab this book. Try God. Show them the book. Yep. Put in your plug. Leah lives by her life quote, "Love is the regulating factor." I love that. Martin Luther King Jr.
Yes, thank you.
That's beautiful. Love is the regulating factor. Leah's purpose is to love others and to allow God's light to shine through her. She plans to continuously outpour all the knowledge and wisdom that has been outpoured to her to ensure that everyone is given the same equal opportunities to excel. Welcome to the Activation Hour.
Thank you so much.
Yes! So let's just jump right into it. I've already given the people a teaser.
Okay.
Out on your site, it goes a little bit more in depth in your story. But tell us, what was your activation hour? What was that thing that happened? I know. I feel like
so excited. Too.
I know I am, because it was so powerful. Just kind of give us maybe like the short version, because you got to go to her website. You got to read the book to hear the whole thing. Mm-hmm. But tell us a little snippet about how you had your activation hour to write that book.
So the activation hour for me was, I grew up in the church. I was born and raised in the church. So I knew the art of church, but I never knew a relationship with God. So for me, it was just going through the motions. You wake up, brush your teeth, go to church on Sunday, go to school, that type of thing. But I never understood the concept of church and why we went to church, and it was to gain a relationship with God. So when I traveled to Atlanta my freshman year, I was actually in a long distance relationship. Okay. And in this relationship, my significant other at the time started going to a church. And this church actually told him to break up with me because they felt as though that I wasn't a true disciple and Christian because I didn't go to that particular church. So it was a lot of weird, skeptical things going on. But being stuck on stupid and stuck in love, I was like, no, I'm going to go to this church. I'm going to make it happen. And when I was there, it was a trap. It was really a trap of the enemy. And it was because I didn't have a foundation with my relationship with God. Everything that I built was on fluff. It was what I felt like doing, what part of the Bible I felt like living. So it was so easy for me to be misguided when dealing with this church, until one day I remember talking to my mom, because nobody in my family knew that I was in talks with this church, because everybody was like, it doesn't seem right. They really don't seem led. I think you should just stay away. So one day I called my mom and I was like, they want me to leave school, drop out of school, and move out there to join their church.
Wow.
And at that moment, it was like the aha moment where it was like, God is not in one center location. He's not in one specific church. He's everywhere.
He's omnipresent, yes.
Exactly. And at that moment, I was like, okay, now I need to take the steps in order to build a real relationship with God on my own. So from there, that's when I learned how to have an authentic relationship with God. Not what my mom was doing, not what my pastor was doing, but a relationship between just me and him. And it has just been amazing.
It was personal.
It was personal.
It went from practice to personal.
Exactly.
I love that. And I like what you said, because oftentimes you phrased it, the art of church. I've never heard it put that way. I was like, it's kind of like it's scientific for some of us. It's such a routine thing. Like, okay, let me go to church and get all the feels and feel better, and not really cure what's really ailing us.
Exactly.
Which is truly it's the connection with God.
Exactly.
That's so real. And so if you're not careful, and not to say, I mean, I don't know this church, I don't know, where it is, but that could have been any church in any, place of worship that has man-made rules for a God-ordained relationship.
Exactly.
That's like somebody telling me, okay, if you want a relationship with me, we can only live here.
Exactly.
What? Or you can only, like, it's so now that there's, to impose man-made rules. And so as you were sharing that story, all I could think about was that had to happen to test your foundation.
Of course. That was it right there. Because at that moment I was like, okay, well, what does it take for me to have a real relationship with God? Because at this point now I'm hungry. I'm thirsty for a relationship. And just going to church on Sunday, it wasn't doing it for me. I had to step outside of the four walls and learn how to gain a relationship with God on my own. And once I got that, the book actually came from me going on an exchange trip to China. And another student who was on that trip, he wrote a book. And I remember being on the bullet train from Shanghai to Beijing. And as soon as I closed his book, God dropped in my spirit, and he was like, you should write a book. And I'm like, who? I'm like, God,
another activation hour.
Yeah. I was like, no, not me. And after about 5 minutes of denying it, I was like, okay. So I got up, I grabbed my laptop, and I actually wrote my preface to my chapter 1 in there. And at this moment, now I learned the art of transparency and how to share your story with others. And that's, I think that's the biggest thing, is letting people know that it's real. Like, everybody is not perfect. And until you can move to that point, then that's how others can get saved.
Absolutely. So I love that and not to be too churchy, but we call it, you're a living epistle, which means I have to go through it to authentically be an effective witness to someone else.
Right.
And what I also love, that as believers, when something like that is placed in you and birthed through you, it's almost like that's like God's call to those who are called to you. So now, women or men, anyone who's been in the same situation, you find like all of a sudden those people start to gravitate towards you because you've put it out there now.
Right.
You have that piece that they need. So tell us more about the book itself. You told us about the testimony, what got you there. What are some of the principles in the book, Try God?
Oh, it's sharing all the secrets of all of the, I don't know a better way to put this, but I guess the phony Christians, the Christians that just go to church and kind of go through the motions and fake having a relationship with God. And the reason why I did it, y'all, don't feel offended, don't feel bad, like, oh my gosh, you about to put me out there. I had to put myself out there because I was that person. And I share the art of playing church and going through the motions. And then I also share how to break that curse into how to actually have a relationship with God. We talk about trust issues that man caused, that we brought in our spiritual spiritual relationship with God and how to detect that and get that out of the way. So we really go through step by step how to have an authentic relationship with God, and how to know that your relationship with God is going to be different from everybody else's, because at the end of the day, everybody is different. You have your own DNA and I have mine, so we're bound to have a different relationship with God and our communication and the way he speaks to us. So it's very ABC 1, 2, 3, because I don't want people to I don't want people to think of God as too complex, because he is a complex God. And the thing is we're never going to understand how he does what he does. All we can do is just love him.
And he's simple in his love.
He is. He's so
we
simple.
Overcomplicate that.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
We make that part hard.
So
way
hard.
harder than it needs to be. You use the word, like, just, you know, with people in church. What I envision when you said that is kind of like being in a trance. So how do you go from being in the trance state of church, just kind of like robotic, right. to being transformational? Like, God, his desire really is that we transcend the humanity and step into a place of divinity with him.
Exactly.
That's that relationship. And I don't know about you, and I'd love for you to touch on this. For me, when I got to that point of knowing what a real relationship was, all of my other relationships had to align and submit to that relationship.
Yes,
right?
It did.
So how did that affect you? Once you, God gave you the seed of this book. You planted the seed, it grew, and it's out here. It's in the earth now. And so obviously it changed some things in you. How did it affect the other relationships around you?
Oh,
be real about it.
Oh, no, I'm gonna be real. It changed every single relationship that I had, down to my relationship with my family, to my best friend, to my significant other, now to this day. And you said it has to align, and you have to be equally yoked with the people that you're around. And you have to, even if you're in somebody's life, to pour out to them and to encourage them, you have to make sure that you're pulling them and they're not pulling you. And that's something that I had to learn, is I had to categorize people, because I think when people think, oh, I'm elevating, so I gotta drop everybody, you get dropped, everybody get dropped, and it's like, no, it doesn't necessarily have to be like that. You just have to categorize people. Some people can only know this portion of your life. Some people you can be in a vulnerable space with. Some people you can share with them, but you know, they can't necessarily share with you. And it's just a matter of knowing who you can confide in and who you can be vulnerable with and who you cannot. And I think when you think of it from that perspective, instead of having to have bad blood with somebody or dropping them off completely, now if the relationship is I think if it's too negative and if it's toxic, it's toxic, then that's something we need to get rid of. But I think it helped my relationships for the better. And I think me changing caused everybody around me to be like, okay, this is something that can be done. So let me try God. Let me take a shot at it. So I think it helped tremendously.
I love that you put that, because even for me personally, and again, I like the transparency. Y'all know how it goes around.
Right.
So even for me, I struggle with that sometimes. In ministry, like I'm not the same Melissa I was before, and so sometimes it's tough when people expect for me to be the same.
Exactly.
And they like I'm learning my footing with them through my new eyes, because I am a new creature, and so I do see things different. I'm not the same. I can't function the same with you. So you literally, if you're desiring to keep those relationships, you almost have to relearn that person, and like you said, their place. Like, okay, which category do I put you in? Because sometimes you do have to recategorize them, and it's no love loss, but it just means that for where I am and the woman or person I am, this is where I need you to be right now. And because this is where I am. And it's not even personal.
It's not personal at all. Because you have to look at it from the perspective of, if you don't categorize people and that person affects you, then the people that were assigned to you, you're now affecting them.
Ooh. Did y'all catch that?
And I'm like, I don't want to repeat it because I don't want to mess it up. But it's so
That's
serious,
real.
y'all. The people that are assigned to you, you have to keep that in mind with every move that you make. So if that means that your boyfriend can no longer be your boyfriend, or your friend can no longer be your friend, or your cousin can't even have that same place in your life, then that's what it has to be. Because when you made the decision to live your life for God, it came with some changes, and you have to accept that.
Yes. And that's it. That what basically Leah is saying is, your assignment is greater than anything else, anybody else. And sometimes you will be at that crossroad. So tell us, just real talk, you know, when you say, okay, these things happen and I came to that place of relationship with God. For some people, especially if they haven't had an authentic relationship, it sounds so foreign. Like, definitely. It doesn't even, I don't even think it permeates, because they think, but I'm good though, I got one. How do you explain to them the difference between your relationship now and your relationship then?
Well, back then it was no relationship. And I think, for lack of a better words, the relationship was built on fluff. So in the book, I talk about the difference between building your house, or building your foundation with bricks, and building it with straws and with fluff. And for me, when the enemy came to blow my house down my freshman year, when I was in that relationship, he blew that thing out the park, because I had no foundation.
That's good.
I had no foundation.
It's good, Leah.
But now, if he tries to something, it's not gonna happen, because I've learned the art of how to build my relationship with God on bricks, on foundation, on His Word, on His grace, and on His mercy. So what I would say to anybody who is actively looking for a relationship with God, you somewhat have to I don't want to say isolate yourself, but when it comes to your relationship with God, that's something that you have to do on your own. So for me, it started in my dorm room, being on my knees every night.
Yeah,
God, I'm talking
personal
to you. I don't know if you hear me. Hopefully you hear me. Let's try this thing out. I'm praying about this. And then when He started showing Himself, I was like, oh, wow. Let me keep praying. Let me keep reading. And that's where it starts there. And we talked about how we complex everything, and everything is so confusing. And for me, it started with prayer.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah. And prayer really is no deeper than a conversation with your Creator.
No deeper than a conversation.
It's a conversation.
Just like we're talking right now.
Yeah, it does. And as you do it more, it's the same way as you're building relationships, horizontally, like in terms of between you and another human. Like if Leah and I are building a friendship, it's no different than if I'm serious about a friendship with Leah, then what do? I call her, I check on her, I see how she's doing, and then she's like, oh, she's consistent. She's for real. Right. So let me start reciprocating some of that, which means she starts to communicate back. She starts to learn more about me as well. She starts to speak back to me and check on me. And it's the same with God. I know you're like, okay, is this big voice that sounds like Morgan Freeman going to come from the sky? No, it's not going to be like Bruce Almighty and the clouds are going to part and Jesus is going to sound like Morgan Freeman. Doesn't work like that. But it does. It's like a still small voice. You'll know.
It's a whisper.
It is.
It's a
and
whisper.
It's so sweet.
It is so sweet. And I did a plan on the Bible app, and it talks about how the reason why God whispers to us is because when you whisper to something, you have to lean in. Like if Melissa just whispered something, I'm like, what'd you say, girl? Huh? Yeah. Come a little closer. I can't hear you. Yeah. And that's what God wants us to do. He wants us to lean into Him. And it just goes back to the relationship.
That's the difference between relationship on the surface and intimate relationship. Because those you are intimate with, you are close with.
Exactly.
That's good. Oh man, that's awesome. So share with us, I want to continue this conversation. This is so good. I want to talk just, as we have a few more minutes here, what's your prayer and your hope for everyone who grabs a copy of your book and read it? What's your prayer for them? So
before I even printed the books, and then when I printed the books, I pray over every single copy. And the reason why I do that is because the sole purpose of me writing this book was for everybody to have an authentic relationship with God. And that's my prayer. And it sounds so simple, and you're like, an authentic relationship with God, that's it? Like, you don't want me to have a house, a car, money, da-da-da-da.
Everything else will come.
Everything else will come. And that's the art of the book. Is once you have that authentic relationship with God, everything else will come. It'll fall in place.
That's so true. I told a cousin recently at Thanksgiving, I said, I have joy. Everything else is extra. When you have relationship with God, like your whole perspective on everything changes. A bad day doesn't even look like a bad day anymore. He flips the script on you. You don't see anything the same.
Exactly.
And that is real. That is a true walk with God. And so I touch and agree with my sister Leah on that. Like our prayer for you is an authentic relationship with the Father,
exactly,
the Creator, and with Jesus, who is our Savior. When that is such, it's an amazing thing. I'm not even gonna go too deep, but even just knowing the three parts of God, the Holy Spirit as a comforter, and knowing how to receive that, knowing Jesus as a friend,
who
would die for you, who died for you. How many friends you got that's gonna die for you?
Right.
They ain't gonna get a paper cut for you, let alone. I'm just saying, like, girl, I'm through with you. I ain't stuffing no envelopes with you no more.
Right.
But that's real.
That's real. And I think that's why I love the book so much, and I'm just so honored and so grateful that God decided to trust me with that, because it simplifies everything. In the book, we talk about the Holy Spirit. We talk about the purpose of the Holy Spirit, who he is, what his job is, and how that's supposed to be a helping hand. So I'm telling you guys, if you are in a place where you feel like you need to rebuild a relationship with God, maybe you've lost it, maybe you went back and forth, because that was me. I was back and forth. I feel like every other month I was at altar call, like, I need to get saved again, I need to get saved again.
God was there too.
And no change. Yeah. Monday morning, back to what it was. And we cover that in the book, and the reason why is because I lived it. So I'm able to share that story in a language where you can understand it. Yeah. Like, I'm not too deep out here, y'all.
That's amazing.
It's real simple.
Thank you for not being stingy with your gift. And that's so amazing. I always admire authors, because literally that's a work that will live on when you're long gone. Somebody's going to read that and come to Jesus and, receive their salvation. That's so amazing. Congratulations on your book and all your success. So tell the people how they can stay connected with you and to get a copy of your book.
Yes. So there you go. So
I'll hold up for the plug.
Thank you. So you guys can actually go on trygodthebook.com. That's trygodthebook.com. You can order your copies on there. I have bracelets.
Yes, tell them about the bracelets. I love that.
So the bracelet, you probably can't see it, but it's just a simple gold bracelet, and it says Try God on it. And my reason for doing that is when we read a book, it's like, okay, you kind of forget it, but I wanted you to have a daily reminder to consistently try God and to consistently trust him with everything that you have. So that's on the website as well. You guys can follow me on Instagram at Leah Danielle. That's LeahDannille on Instagram, and that's the same for all social media platforms as well. Awesome.
And it's such a beautiful, elegant book and an easy read. It's simple. She didn't make it complicated, y'all. This ain't one of those I gotta take days to. And you probably couldn't meditate on a lot of it. Sounds so rich in content, but it gets right to it. So thank you so much, y'all. Stay connected with Leah. Her bio is on my website. You can check her out, learn more about her ministry, and her book, and order the bracelets. It's the perfect stocking stuffers and holiday gifts. I'm gonna give you a plug, girl. So check her out. You can go to melissadwhite.info. Her bio is on there, and we'll have a replay up so that you can also listen to the interview, share it with a friend. I think that'll be a great gift. Give them the book, get a bracelet, let them listen to the interview so that they can hear from her directly about Try God.
That's such a great package. Yeah. Package together.
I think we're gonna do it. So I tell you what, guys, stay connected. If you're not following me at the Activation Hour, I'm gonna put together a contest. You want to give away a book for people?
Of course, I would love to.
Thank you for that. We're going to give away a book. And like Leah said, our prayer is that whoever receives this, that you come to know an authentic relationship with God. And guys, you have now been activated. Thank you so much, Leah, for sharing with us, pouring into us. Bless you, bless your ministry and your book. Family, stay connected. I'm out of here, y'all. If you in the Atlanta area, come meet me. No, meet me, beat me there at the It's My Season event hosted by glamboss.org at the Open for Business on Auburn Avenue. You can also check me out on Instagram at my personal one at Melissa D. White. It's not too late. It's free. Come out there. Do some holiday shopping, and I'm just going to share a little word with the people, have a little fun today, and have a wonderful week. It's the December to remember. Stay connected because we're going to shine in our season. I'm your girl, Melissa D., Minister Mel, your activation specialist, and you've been listening to the Activation Hour on 108 Praise Radio, where we're always voicing the gospel. Have a great week, family.
Bye.